Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news. And another example of how corrupted DOJ is, and how much of a clown show this regime is what we are seeing take place right now, where a phony docket somehow ended up on the DOJ thing where they had to go back and retract it because it was submitted by a criminal in prison. Why would argue there's criminals in the DOJ and the FBI and the Biden regime? There's criminals within our political class all over. However, this one actually came from inside an actual prison where many these criminals probably belong inside that prison, right? The DOJ is such a corrupt organization at the moment with the FBI as they have abandoned all of their investigations, things that go into, investigations into human trafficking of children. They said, that's no longer a priority. Our only priority now is to go after Trump. And that is the priority of the FBI and DOJ currently. This is the disturbing trend that we are seeing all the forces of the government focus on a political opponent and a political opponent supporters. That is what this Biden regime is doing. And of course, they will scream that if Trump, they scream that Trump supporters are fascists, and so of course, Trump is not a Nazi or Hitler or whatever. While they employ all the same tactics that these despotic regimes would employ against his own citizens is what they're currently doing. What they scream the loudest is what they are doing themselves. They call it a bizarre story because this should not happen at all. And in a society that's so super focused on one individual, like the Democrat Party is on Trump, this would not be able to get by. However, they are so eager to try to do whatever they can in order to defeat him, to try to indict him, to try to arrest him. They will see anything. And they were caught in this huge whopper of a lie. And they had to walk this one back. So let's take a look at this coming. It says clown show, DOJ forced to remove phony filing, and Trump Mar-a-Lago case apparently was submitted by prison inmate. I can't make this up. Department of Justice just filed a motion to remove a phony docket entry. The entry alleged Trump had acquired millions of unredacted classified tax returns and other sensitive financial data, bank records and accounts of banking and tax transactions of several million Americans and federal government agencies. The Washington Examiner also noted the Justice Department filed that motion to remove a apparently phony docker entry after media revealed a prison inmate with a history of forging documents apparently tricked court staff. The document, which was filed on September 12, and it remains on the docket as of Monday, appeared to be from the Treasury Department and said that the agency had seized sensitive documents related to the August 8 raid at Mar-a-Lago and included a warrant ordering CNN to preserve leaked tax records. The United States of America hereby moves to strike docket entry 128, which purports to be a motion by the United States Department of Treasury to intervene in this instant matter. The DOJ's Monday motion said the United States have confirmed pleading was not submitted by the Department of Treasury, but rather mailed to the clerk of court by someone not associated with the government. Yeah, for sure. And this almost got it through. This is almost got through until somebody in the media said, hey, that doesn't seem right. And they leaked it. They found it only coming back from a prison inmate in California. This would have stayed on the record, because that's how desperate they are for anything Trump related, how desperate they are for anything that they think they have their hands on, in order to try to, again, indict or arrest him. This is their fantasy, and they're going to do whatever they can to make it become a reality. Even a fake court docket that came in the mail, from a prison of all places claiming to be from the Treasury Department of United States, what a flippin' clown show that we have going on. But we know that these people aren't idiotic. It is all part of their sinister scheme in order to do what they want, and far as taking this country down and making it a one-party rule, because that's the ultimate goal. Rush Limbaugh used to say all the time, if Democrats could find a way not to run for office, they would, because they hate answering to the people who have to elect them. That is what we are seeing in the midst of everything. That's kind of playing an overarching theme. If you step away to stop looking at trees to see the forest for a second, you see, that is the way that we are heading. We are headed to a one-party regime. And now, we've got a huge game changer in the realm of big tech. A federal court has upheld the Texas ban on big tech censorship that will end up applying to all 50 states. Alright, let's dive right in. Here. Again, we have an amazing ruling just came out of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That promises to be a total absolute game changer in the realm of big tech, the U.S. Court of Appeals, this circuit has just upheld a Texas social media law that prohibits big tech social media outlets from discriminating against a user's political ideology. According to this law, it is now illegal. It is illegal for social media platforms with 50 million or more users to engage in what's called viewpoint discrimination, which we more commonly simply know as online censorship. Right, cancelled, the very censorship that the corrupt FBI was requiring with the Hunter Biden laptop. Right now, originally, this Texas law was struck down by a lower court. But now it's been upheld by the Fifth Circuit. And it's therefore on its way to the Supreme Court, where it should find a relatively receptive majority upholding it. So the gist of the law is actually really quite fascinating. What this Texas law does is it explicitly bars social media outlets like Twitter and Facebook and YT from engaging in any viewpoint discrimination practices whatsoever. So they can no longer demonetize. They can't deplatform, they can't cancel, they can't shadow ban, they can't put a channel in a disadvantageous position in terms of search results. If you have 50 million or more users, you are officially designated Section 230 utility, which means you are no more allowed to discriminate against someone's political viewpoints than is the phone company or the electric company. The electric company can't turn off your lights or your gas because they don't like your political viewpoints. It's the same thing here. Yes, these are private companies, but they are also utilities. They are the communication networks for the modern public square. And as such, they are no more allowed to censor your political opinion. Now, of course, this doesn't include content that's already illegal. That's the key. If content is illegal, according to the law of the land, well, then, of course, it can be legally censored. So we're talking pornography, public lewdness, direct incitement, calls for violence, unlawful conduct. Basically, it's the same rules as the FCC, the very ones that govern our talk radio and our television. We could talk about pretty much anything on talk radio, but we can threaten, we can engage in pornographic lewdness in the light. So that said, what we have to understand is, this law is a major game changer. This is huge, presuming of course, the Supreme Court upholds it, which they should at least with a 5-4 majority decision. In fact, the decision was actually penned by a former Alito clerk, who's with the Fifth Circuit now, but this is a game changer because you don't have to be in Texas to benefit from it. If big tech censors you as a content creator, no matter where you are, that affects the citizens of Texas. That content creator has been, for all practical purposes, censored right from the citizens of Texas. And therefore, the law against censorship ends up equally applying for everyone. And that's only going to intensify now that Florida and other states are passing similar laws. Again, this really changes everything, and if you really want to know the significance of what just happened in the Fifth Court, all you got to do is look at what ultra-leftist sites like Vox write. That's Vox with a V, by the way, not Fox. Vox, look at what they're saying about it. Look at this ridiculous headline. 2 Republican judges just let Texas seize control of Twitter and Facebook, and the byline reads, "The Fifth Circuit wants to put Texas Republicans in charge of social media platform." That's how they're spinning this. That's how they're gaslighting this. This is a very profound, well-reasoned, thought-out, historically informed verdict, and all woke leftist at Vox can do is try to poison it and partisanize it. What else are they going to do? When in the end, all you're trying to do is defend censorship, defend the shutting down of speech that you personally find politically offensive, because you're so neurotic and petty and woke, then you have no other choice than to dig into the manure of resentment politics and try to pull your version of Bumble and Biden's Moloch speech. It's the Republicans who tried to control your speech, not us, even though we're the ones who actually are trying to censor you. No. Right? In the warped world of woke leftists, they're always the narcissistic hero. Or take a look at the wackos over at the ultra-left Dailyco's Fifth Circuit rewrites First Amendment for large social media companies. That's right. A court that calls out the left-wing absurdity of claiming that censorship is free speech is rewriting the very amendment that gives us the right to speak. Are you noticing a pattern here with these leftists? These leftist outlets disguised as news sites are actually trying to make the argument that censorship is freedom of speech. I mean, you're gonna have to let the world of woke leftism hit you. It's a world that is nothing more than a performative contradiction. Woke activists actually believe that censorship is free speech. The act of shutting down speech is itself an expression of the freedom of speech when it comes to these so privately owned big tech oligarchy. That's the kind of absurdity, that kind of square circle that the modern left has morphed into. Again, keep in mind this is why so many who consider themselves liberals are aghast at this stuff. I mean, we could go down the list: Bill Maher, right, Piers Morgan, Dave Rubin. In fact, Jordan Peterson 5 years ago would have described himself as Senator Laft. So many in the left are repulsed by this woke absurd as woke nonsensical idiocy that girts itself with preposterous, logically tortured arguments to justify what is in effect a contradiction in terms. Now that said, let me show you what they're really frothing at the mouth about taking away from them. Their so precious, cancelled culture is bad enough. But the woke left recognizes that this is actually symptomatic of something much bigger and far more sinister from their vantage point. Alright, so what the left is increasingly recognizing to their utter horror is that this latest decision from the Fifth Circuit actually stems from President Trump's astonishing renovation of the federal court system, of which the Fifth Circuit is one of his many crowning achievements. We've got to remember, and I've argued this a number of times over the last few years, I've done several videos on this. The longest-lasting legacy of the Trump presidency will be the astonishing transformation he brought to the federal courts when Trump took office. The one thing that Mitch McConnell did, his Senate leader, the one thing he did, right, was he had, over the previous 2 years, put a halt to all Obama-appointed federal judges. It was pretty bad, old and unprecedented, but he used his parliamentary skills as it were to end Obama's capacity to fill federal judicial seats. So when Trump took office, he in turn began appointing more judges than any of his predecessors. If I recall, I think it was something like halfway through his first term, he had already appointed more judges than his last 4 predecessors combined. So today, as we speak, a third of all active federal judges in the U.S. Appeals Court had been appointed by President Trump. And of course, the 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. That's clearly his crowning achievement of that judicial transformation. That is what all these leftist ideologues are really freaked out about. Taking away their precious big tech censorship is one thing, transforming the nation into a judiciary that is faithful to the Federalist vision of our founding fathers. That's a whole nother thing entirely. That is what is ultimately going to unravel the left, which means that the overturning of Roe, and this latest ruling restoring free speech to social media, is just the beginning. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Give me your thoughts below and hit subscribe.